Hi guys, welcome back to Sally's Take, and in honor of Timothee Chalamet's TikTok dance playdate edits, in honor of the merches that I've purchased, and the 11-page review of the film that I wrote in my journal when it came out, I decided to make a video about one of the most famous LGBT movies, Call Me By Your Name. I am a Call Me By Your Name fan. I love it so much when it came out, but even if some people support LGBT and love to see representation in movies, they won't watch Call Me By Your Name. And one of the main reasons why is because they are uncomfortable with the age gap. I was never aware of that problem. I mean, I know that it's about a summer fling in Italy involving Elio, a young 17-year-old boy who is kind of like a musical genius and an intellectual because he speaks many languages and his parents are professors, and he kind of falls head over heels for his parents' guest/assistant Oliver, a 24-year-old who is there to kind of help out his parents' work for the summer. I know that they are many years apart, but because of how smart Elio is, I kind of brushed the age gap off many times. So when my boyfriend brought it up again, I decided to revisit the film to see how I'd feel about it 3 years later. Now, we all know how aesthetically pleasing Call Me By Your Name is. It's kind of known for it. The playlist is so beautiful. The actors are great. And as a reader of the book, it was so satisfying to see how much detail they put in it. And it's kind of like an Easter egg. But there are several issues we gotta talk about. I'm mostly gonna focus on Elio and Oliver's relationship. As a viewer, I wasn't sold by how they framed their relationship as kind of like a first love/romantic summer fling as much as the first time that I watch it, knowing that the age gap is 7 years. Like, that's literally the gap between me and my younger sister. And looking at it like that, the interactions between Elio and Oliver just kind of seemed creepy. First of all, Elio is just a kid. The knowledge he has and all the philosophy he likes to talk about make me kind of forget how young he is sometimes. But if you look at the way he behaves around Oliver, waiting around him, obsessing over details, wanting his attention, getting frustrated when he doesn't receive it, it already shows the imbalance of power and maturity. Sexual experience-wise, I used to think that there's no difference because both Elio and Oliver are new to the gay relationship, but we don't really know that because they don't discuss anything sexual that happened in their life before or after the summer end. But assuming that they both are new to this, boy, Elio is still coming into his sexuality. He just had sex for the first time with a girl that very same summer, and he's still experiencing with fruits and curious about his body and what he wants, whereas Oliver seemed to be more confident and secure of that already. Even though Elio approached Oliver first and may look like he is in control, Oliver has Elio's interest. He has more experience and he's aware of it, which is why Oliver was so reluctant to engage in anything sexual with Elio in the first place, but for some reason he eventually gives in. What I learned throughout the year is that love may come with passion or lust, but in Call Me By Your Name, the lust part is so overpowering. Majority of the book is basically Elio pining and crushing over Oliver, obsessing over him, fantasizing, desiring, and wanting to be Oliver. He practically worshipped the dude, and Oliver's point of view is nowhere to be found. I'm sure they fell in love. I was still bawling when they had to depart from each other, but the relationship still seemed very shallow. If you consider all they talk about is some pretentious philosophy, art, history, and language. No offense, I study those things myself. I think it's great that you can converse intellectual stuff with your partner, but if you think about it, they barely know anything about each other. They never once really talk about their feelings or the future, which is why I think their attraction is very surface level. Now we have established that the relationship is unhealthy and wrong. I want to talk about why a lot of people think that it is okay and still support this relationship. A lot of it is also what I used to defend the film as well, so trust me when I say that I've been on both sides. I so wanted to love this movie because LGBT represent. You just want them to be together because of the atmosphere, the connection, the gayness of it all. I read an article that compares the age gap of Call Me By Your Name with other straight couples in movies. A lot of classic rom-coms are in there, like Twilight, Clueless, Dirty Dancing, Romeo and Juliet, Pretty Woman. If people are okay with the age gap in straight movies, what's the problem if a gay movie has it, right? Well, I think it's honestly still as fucked up, but it just got swept under the rug a lot because I think people are kind of used to it. But I think people tend to scrutinize and criticize LGBT for the age gap because honestly, there's just not many of LGBT films, so people tend to pay more attention when one comes out. When art portrays issues in reality, is it condoning to the problem? Is Call Me By Your Name a good representation for gay relationship, and should people still let it happen just so there's more LGBT movies? I think obviously it plays into the stereotype of older gay men going for younger guys, though it is kind of true that there are stories about young gay men being sexually assaulted or lose their virginity to older men. But with a small number of LGBT movies, especially the Oscar-worthy ones, they are usually relationship with big age gaps, which means they receive attention and even are praised for. Now here's the problem. A lot of LGBT youths who are confused with their sexuality, just like Elio, are gonna grow up thinking that the relationship in Call Me By Your Name is goals, when it actually is not okay. The thing is, I don't have a problem with movies portraying what happens in real life as long as it makes some kind of effort to let people know that it is actually a problem and not something to be romanticized or glorified. For Call Me By Your Name, I'm fine with it showing an imbalance in power and genuinely a bad relationship of two gay men, but I don't like the way they advertise and show this movie as something that's so magical and amazing when they could have other characters' judgment or show Elio's mentality after their relationship went sexual. Speaking of other characters, I used to love that Call Me By Your Name existed in a bubble, somewhere in 1983 northern Italy. I used to love that it's super dreamy, very aesthetically pleasing, and also shows that gay relationship could exist happily had the society don't mind. But watching it back, I think it's essential to have other characters' opinion pitched in, since the film was in a bubble in the sense that the people who knew about their relationship are mostly chill and supportive, including Elio's parents and ex-girlfriend, but it was also kind of aware of how the relationship is not possible outside the circumstances of that place and time. In a way, the film is kind of like in the middle, relying on the sadness of how the relationship could not blossom because of society, but doesn't touch on it enough for us to realize that it's an issue in that decade. Especially if the film is intended to depict realistic art, they should definitely pay attention to what the society thinks more, and especially Elio's parents should say what's wrong with the age gap instead of supporting it, but the film never really addressed it. Lastly is the defense which Armie Hammer, or the actor who played Oliver, made himself, and I think a lot of people use this excuse too. He said that in most US states the age of consent is 16, and in Italy, where the film is set, even younger, it's 14. So it's not illegal since Elio is 17. But even if it's not illegal, doesn't mean that it's morally or ethically right. Someone that young, a teenage boy, there's so much that could fuck up his mentality and perspective about sex from being with someone who is much older and definitely holds a lot more power in the dynamic of their relationship. Well, that is it for my problems with the film. While making this video, I really had a hard time kind of forming opinions because a lot of contents are sensitive and controversial topics, and obviously I don't want to look at the film I used to adore in a bad light. Honestly, I still get emotional while watching Call Me By Your Name. I'm still gonna love the aesthetic, the soundtrack, and would love to go to Crema, Italy someday. But if I learned anything from this review, I'll definitely not idolize the relationship that Elio and Oliver had, and I'll be more aware of the relationship with big age gaps, queer or not. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you soon.